By just acknowledging what we've seen with the recent dairy attack just today, and our thoughts are with the family of those two victims who are hopefully going to make a full recovery. But again, quite shocking circumstances here in New Zealand as we continue to see more violent and gratuitous crime like that. But our thoughts are certainly with those families who will be doing it incredibly tough and will be incredibly worried and anxious at this time. It is awesome to be here at Rocket Lab. This is a fantastic company. It's just been amazing to watch this business grow and grow over the last few years. The vision and the ambition and the aspiration that sits in this business for continued growth, to be genuinely world class and to do it all from New Zealand is really inspiring. And again, just want to say thank you to Peter Beck, who's a good friend, for hosting us here today and for all the great work that he's shown, all the leadership he's shown, not just with building Rocket Lab, but actually building a whole sector and industry. And it's interesting talking to other businesses that are suppliers into Rocket Lab and just how they partner incredibly well together, and that Pete and the team here obviously believe in pulling everyone up with them, and that their success is actually part of everyone else's success. So this is what we want to see more of in New Zealand. We want to be one of the leading small advanced countries on earth. A big part of that is actually how do we grow our economy, how do we do more higher value products and services, how do we open up new sectors like aerospace, and to think about where it was just less than 2 decades ago, non-existent, to see where it sits today. It's just an incredible story. So with that, thank you for being here, and happy to take any questions you may have.
Why did you call the CTU's analysis of your taxpaying gut of politics when it's factual?
What we say is that what we reacted to was the link that we see between the CTU and the Labour Party. For 4 weeks we've seen Chris Hipkins saying there is no link between the CTU and the Labour Party, and what we've seen in that instance is there's a very strong link between Labour Party operatives working in conjunction with the CTU to do what they do. And just a few days ago we had a CTU go out and send out an email to tens of thousands of their members, absolute falsehoods and lies, saying that National would withdraw the sick leave, paid parental leave and the winter energy payment. Nothing could be further from the truth. Yeah, nothing's from the truth.
Was your policy at one point that aside? Why don't you argue the merits of your policy and defend actual facts of your policy rather than attacking?
Oh, we're incredibly proud of our policy. I mean, the fact that we're delivering low and middle income New Zealanders tax relief. About 3,000 families up to $250 per family on an average household income. Certainly up to 1.4 million Kiwis getting over $30 a fortnight, which will make a big difference. And so that's important, and it means a lot. It may not mean a lot to you, but it means an awful lot to New Zealanders who are doing incredibly tough. Sorry, Jason.
Do you feel like you were being a bit disingenuous by the fact that 3,000 families, it equals, according to Grant Robertson, about 0.18% of the amount of people that are actually going to get this? Do you think you were a bit disingenuous to basically run on the $250 per week?
No, we've always said, look, up to $250 a week for an average household income with young children. Under our Family Boost program, we get up to 130,000 families getting up to $150 a fortnight through our Family Boost support for early childhood care, and then up to 1.4 million getting up to $30 a fortnight.
There's not as many people getting it as the other ones.
What I'd just say to you is, when you look at the aggregate of our tax plan and you actually look at the delivery of what we're offering low and middle income New Zealanders, we are going to give them tax relief, and it's really important that we do that. It will be different, and as I've said, from a range of. It's an average income earner, single earner gets $50 a fortnight, up to $250 for an average household income with young children. Sorry. Well, again, it depends on what your income earning is, and I just encourage any member of the CTU. It differs, right? And I've just tried to step you through some of the numbers and the parameters around 130,000 families benefiting from the Family Boost tax credit for early childhood care, the 1.4 million Kiwis getting $30 per fortnight. But what I just say to you is that if you really want to jump on, I just would encourage New Zealanders to do it, because we've had 250,000 of them already adopt and jump on the National Party tax calculator, because your individual circumstances are very different, and you'll be able to see very clearly there how much better off you'll be. And so to all the CTU members out there.
When you announced this plan, that it was only 3,000 families that were ever going to get $250
We know we modelled it out completely at a different range of salaries and revenues, as you well know, and there are tables that we've got in our original document to say exactly what we've got going on. And what we've got is we've got a significant amount of tax relief for low and middle income New Zealanders. Sorry, Adam.
Did you know at the time that it was 3,000?
Yes, we do. Yes, we know that's.
Can you explain to New Zealanders how you're being upfront when all the marketing and representation of this tax plan has been that the average household can get up to, yes, you did say up
Correct.
to $250 a fortnight.
Yep.
But there's this 3,000 families we're talking
Yeah, and it's 100.
Ridiculously low.
And what we've given, and always when we've presented it, is we've often said, up to $250 for an average household income with young children, up to, we've upset another 130,000 families. You get $150 a fortnight with the early childhood family boost tax credit. We've talked about the fact that an average income earner a single earner would get $50 per fortnight. And we've always given a range. We've said that actually, $26 a fortnight for a superannuitant in a couple, $17 for a single superannuitant. So it varies depending upon your circumstances. But what I just say to everyone, jump on the tax calculator. We've had 250,000 Kiwis do it, and I just encourage all the CTU members to do it because they'll see as low and middle income New Zealanders, they'll be better off under national.
It's like a retailer having sales on and saying up to 80% off. There being one item that's 80% off and the rest of it's all 10% off. Right?
I disagree. We've presented a range of scenarios because everyone's circumstances are incredibly different. We've tried to say if this is you, an average household income with young children, it's up to $250. If this is you, an average family without young children, it's this. If it's actually a low and middle, if it's average income earner, single earner, this is what it is, or a superannuitant or a minimum wage.
Why didn't you just be honest and give us an average income?
No, because it's important. You need to actually let people know, given their living circumstances and their life stages, is exactly what it is. And that's why we just say, look, just jump on the tax calculator, put your circumstances in and your details in. No, put the details in and you actually see how much better off you'll be. Because actually, to be honest, in a cost of living crisis, it's actually really important. To be honest, people really are hurting out there, and they actually want tax relief, and we're going to deliver it. We're going to deliver it to them. We're going to deliver it to them.
Would you accept that there are probably a lot of families in New Zealand right now that think, under your government, they would get up to $250 off the tax relief per fortnight, but because you haven't been upfront about your numbers, they're going to be quite surprised that they're not going to get that.
If you look at all the detail in our policy and you look at how we built the entitlements around tax indexation, family boost tax credits, independent earner tax credits for modest incomes, working for family tax credits, the other 4 components that are in play, each of those Sorry, I just finished the question. Each of those circumstances is really different. And so what we've tried to do is highlight at all times, here's 4 different scenarios of people who might be in these sorts of situations. But I just encourage you, get on the tax calculator and you'll be able to work it out.
What did you mean when you said Labor Party operatives? What are you alleging there?
Well, what we can see, the reaction we had last night was, again, we've had Chris Hipkins out there saying continuously there is no link between the Labor Party and the CTU. No link whatsoever. And just 2 or 3 days ago, we had a major, bald-faced lie come from the CTU. We know they've had an orchestrated campaign of attack against us, and that's what it is. But an email blast that goes out to tens of thousands of CTU members saying something that is a complete lie is unacceptable, right? So, sorry. Sorry, Adam.
It's about evidence connecting the Labor Party to the CTU. If you use your logic, you look at the photo of Paula Bennett and Brooke Van Velden. Paula used to be with the National Party, and so is that evidence enough to say that National are pushing Act's case in Tamaki? It's the same logic.
No, we're just saying. Look, we're saying very simply the link's established. It's Labor Party operatives been engaging with the CTU to be able to get that story up.
Yeah. Paula Bennett a National Party operative?
No, Paula Bennett is a great supporter, a former great Deputy Prime Minister of New Zealand and a great National Party supporter. She's also friends with Brooke Van Velden. Sorry.
Is it appropriate for John Key as chair of RNZ to publicly campaign for national?
No, I really appreciated his video this morning. I thought he made really good points, which was to say this is a very tight election. If you want guaranteed change, you've got to step up to the plate and deliver it and vote for it. And frankly, his involvement is no different from former Prime Ministers on the Labor Party side, for example, as well.
Did you ask him to do it, or did he offer?
No, he was able to offer and do it, and good on him for doing so. Yep.
Have you arranged for the filming?
Sorry, mate. Yes, that'd be good. Yeah, sorry about that.
Wondered if, in terms of your proposed fast-track immigration process, aerospace workers,
Yep.
whether that will include Chinese nationals who I understand are barred from entering the industry in New Zealand? And secondly, do you see any cooperation between the New Zealand Space Agency and China's Space Agency, which I understand does not exist?
Well, that is not something that has been, there's no change to any of our current existing laws and or policies around that. What we're talking about here is accelerating talented individuals out of top universities, out of really good tech firms, to be able to make the transition here in New Zealand. We think it's part of our strategy to make sure that we can power up our tech sector, but also that same policy can be applied to our space and the aerospace sector here as well. So, that's what we think it's a good thing. One of the challenges when you're trying to build a company like this in New Zealand is if you cannot get access to that talented global world-class talent and get it here to be able to grow the skills of those around you within an organisation like this, it makes it harder to actually lead and build a world-class organisation from New Zealand.
I get that, but my question was about blocking Chinese nationals. Will your policy...
Well, the policies, exactly as they are today, remain exactly the same.
So the government
Sorry.
has it's not a minister of space, but it's a minister in charge of space. It just hasn't got the fancy title. How's yours going to be different from what's in currently the process?
Well, I just want to make sure that we've got a single point of accountability that's actually here to say, how do we actually turbocharge and grow the aerospace sector? And if I start to look at things like regulation, if I look at advanced aviation, a subsector of this whole broader aerospace piece, you'll see a regulator in, say, the CAA that I think has been incredibly slow at actually adopting and adapting to what is rapidly different technology. And the downside of that is that you end up seeing organisations and companies here in New Zealand move across to actually build and grow their companies in Australia because they've got a more progressive regulator that's actually more embracing of new technology, new innovation, and actually thinking about the right regulation to support that future innovation that's coming.
Can you give us one example of when red tape has gotten in the way of a company like Rocket Lab?
Well, yeah, I'm sure.
I've got one.
Yeah, I'll let Erica talk to it, but there's quite a few.
We were just having a chat with Peter Beck just before, and it used to always be that they had a point of contact at Immigration New Zealand so that they could fast track the people here.
Yeah.
Currently, it's taking 6 months to get people here in New Zealand from Germany, and it looks like they're going to, maybe not be able to get people in where they need to. It's these kinds of issues and red tape and things getting glugged up at Immigration New Zealand that we want a single point of contact to make sure that we're constantly on the ball so that they get the workers that they need in the country.
So who would be the space minister? Would it be you or the appropriate name, Joseph?
Well, no, that'll be my decision, and the bottom line is we'll make all of those decisions and calls after we get to the election, as I've been saying.
Have you gotten to the bottom of what happened with one of your supporters in Hana, Park?
Sorry?
Have you gotten to the bottom of what happened with one of your supporters in Hana, Park, the Māori Party candidate in Hana yesterday?
Yeah, look, there are very serious allegations that have been made. We have no further details, and we haven't been reached out to by police either. And frankly, we don't have any further details around that. No, we don't have any further details about that. What I'd say to you is that, as I've said on the weekend, we utterly, totally condemn any threatening or intimidating behaviour on any political party candidate, their family or their property. This is New Zealand. We actually believe that we should be able to hold an election campaign where people are actually free to be able to go around and talk about their policies, principles and beliefs. You may not like them, but actually we'd be respectful of each other doing so.
Have you tried to reach out to Party Māori to try and figure out what it was? Because they obviously know.
The party I know is starting is asking some questions about it, but the bottom line is that's an issue for the party.
Yesterday on Morning Report insinuated.
Sorry, say that again.
John Huntly
Yes.
on Morning Report today insinuated that your policies and some of your rhetoric, when you speak about Māori and your policies, has inflamed the situation and caused this, allegedly caused this person to go into the candidate's house. So what do you say?
I reject that outright. Absolutely outright.
So your messaging hasn't been anti-Māori at all?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
So on that, is there a message, just acknowledging that, is there still a message that you would like to send? We're 9 days out from the election. As you keep saying, it's very, very tight and around this time, so kind of get heightened a little bit around the political discussion. So is there a message that you want to send to national supporters specifically about making sure that everything about their behaviour is above board?
Well, it's actually to New Zealanders that I would send the message because
no.
no.
I know that applies to everyone.
Yep.
Is there a message that you
And
would
as
like to
political.
send to your
as political leaders, I'm sending a message to all supporters of any political party, which is that we condemn outright any threatening or intimidating behaviour on an individual candidate, whether they're part of the National Party, Labour Party, Te Pāti Māori, Greens, ACT, whatever it may be, and their family and or their property. We have also been, as we've talked about, received huge amounts. Well, we've received significant threats and intimidation. We've referred those matters to the police as well. So all political parties have actually been on the receiving end of abuse, threats and intimidation. What I'd just say to you is that in New Zealand we have a choice to make, and our choice should be that we should be able to have a civil discourse where we actually tackle the debate and the issues rather than the actual individuals. And it's important that we maintain that civility in our politics because it's unique.
You talk a lot about KPIs. Have
Yeah.
you got any that you would like to see for New Zealand's space sector? I mean, what is happening right now that you would like to see change significantly to, as you say, unlock the potential that New Zealand has? Peter Beck talked about how we were 6th or 7th in the world about launching rockets.
Yeah.
Do you want to see us be number 4, number 5,
Yeah.
number 1?
So what's important is within the aerospace sector, you've got companies like Rocket Lab that are doing a phenomenal job in space. You've got another sector emerging, what we call advanced aviation. There's many of those businesses, some of you may have seen in Christchurch, for example. There's a good cluster there as well. What we need to see is those start-up companies actually choosing to do what Peter and the team have done here at Rocket Lab, which is to build a global company, which is not easy, from New Zealand and build a world-class company. And so for me, one of our challenges in New Zealand has been we have good start-up mentality, but actually we don't then, how do we go on and commercialise our businesses so they actually become scaled operations that can employ up to 1,700 employees like this business in high-paying, high-quality jobs. So one of the things we've got to do is, and as I said, we've got to do the things that we can do in government, which is to encourage the growth of the sector. We do that by actually making sure the regulatory settings are there so the entrepreneurs can come in and do it. But when entrepreneurs are trying to build a business that's never been done before, it's innovative or it's novel, they need to be able to work with regulators that actually are responsive to them and quick and accessible.
On that one, if the people will say, the people on coalface will say that one of the major issues is access to financing, being it small businesses or startup actually getting the money to be able to do that.
Yeah.
Has the national government got any, or will your national government have any policies that help small business, that ones that you say you want to thrive, actually get the capital to be able to be the next Rocket Lab?
Oh, absolutely. There are pools of domestic capital that are starting to emerge in things like our pension plans and our KiwiSaver accounts, and that's fantastic. Still quite small in the global scale of things, but actually we're starting to see those KiwiSaver funds wanting to invest in infrastructure but also wanting to invest in tech, and that we should encourage that. But equally, we have to acknowledge we are the most restrictive foreign direct investment regime in the OECD region. And so, when a company needs to grow to the next level and not just be world famous in New Zealand, but actually be out there in the world and actually at scale, what we call a globally frontiered firm, they do need access to new capital as well. And so we've got to be able to open up foreign direct investment so that we can actually do that. Sorry, mate.
Sorry, you talked about changing from each launch being individually approved to a set of criteria. Are you going to loosen up any of the regulations around defence and nuclear?
No, all of those laws stay exactly as they are. But there's a series now, as the business has scaled and as businesses have scaled, that actually there's a series of bread and butter launches that are very consistent and common. And essentially, what you want to do is make that process less torturous. Obviously, for anything novel, new or different, we need to have ministerial sign-off. But essentially, for a lot of, when there was one launch a year or every couple of years, it was 18 months, that has now picked up pace a lot, and there's a lot of consistency. So, where it's a known launch and it makes all sense, let's just set up some different criteria to make that so it can move with great speed through the process. Again, we'll get into conversations with that on the other side of the election. Again, what I'd say to the New Zealand people is you're in charge, you're in control. Party vote national so that we can change this government.
Do you want her to be your deputy prime minister?
Nicola Willis will be our finance minister, I will be our prime minister, and beyond that we will have discussions and work that through in coalition.
How on earth do you think you're going to get a minister for space past coalition talks with David Seaman?
No, it's actually...
No, but seriously, what do you do?
We have to get to a place in this country where we have to grow this country and this economy. And I appreciate over the last few years we've had quite a lot of inward focus on New Zealand, and we need to get externally oriented again. We need to lift our eyes up, and we need to go out into a world of 8 billion people with exciting opportunities and actually be able to back businesses and sectors like this. And so what we want is we want to have a ministerial responsibility to catalyse that growth we want to see in the sector.
Does the function still sit within MV?
Sorry?
Does the function still sit within MV though? Like, isn't
It does currently, yes, it does, yes. Sorry, Glenn.
Do you think the least to
repeated threats and violence?
Well, again, we have made arrangements over the last 12 months, to be honest, where we've felt where there have been risks. We've employed our own security folk to be able to deal with some of that, and where we want to make sure our candidates are supported, and they have been by the party. But importantly, also we have raised those issues with police as well. And I'm not going to.
Why is it the party's knee-jerk to attack the people who gather or put out information rather than the information itself?
Sorry, I don't understand the question.
Well, yesterday we asked Nicola Willis 3 times how many people would get the $250, and each time she came back and asked for some kind of smear on the CTU rather than actually addressing the questions.
Well, look, there's two issues at play. Last night we weren't addressing the content of a PR. We were addressing an issue where there was a strong link between Labor Party operatives and the CTU, and established. Yeah, but established in a way where it's been saying forever, no, the Labor Party and the CTU are completely separate. You hear it from Chris Hipkins every day. Well, the reality is no, they're not. It's a coordinated thing, and we can see that with the Labor operatives connecting with the CTU. Sorry?
The Southern Marine Reserves that the government announced this morning.
Yeah.
Will National commit to keep that?
I haven't seen the detail of it, but in essence, I was quite supportive. Last question, sorry.
New testing sites, where do you think they could be?
Again, that'll be up for the sector to talk through, but there is. Do you want to talk to that, Joseph? Yeah.
So look, that's something we're going to work with the sector on. We want to see New Zealand as one of the leading space faring nations in the world, and right at the front of aerospace. This is an opportunity to build high skill, high value economy, and then highly productive economy that we want in New Zealand. And we want the aerospace sector to work with us to make this happen.
No, again, it was up for the sector to work with us on that.
Why can't you make any promises around Deputy Prime Minister? Why can't you?
Because again, I've said to you that what I can guarantee is there'll be a Prime Minister called Chris Luxon, there'll be a Finance Minister called Nicola Willis, and everything else will be determined by the New Zealand people on election night. My message very strongly is, you've heard my preference. I want to be in a strong two-party coalition arrangement with National Act. I think that would be a very good thing for New Zealand. It would be in our best interest to do that. And I sure as hell don't want to wake up on the 15th of October and find out we've got a Labour, Party, Māori and Greens coalition in place. And so, sorry? No, and that's why I don't want to work with them, and that's what I've been very clear about, to say only in the last resort, in the absence of seeing a Labour, Party Māori, Greens coalition emerge in this country, which I think would be a disaster, would I pick up the telephone and have a conversation with Mr Peters in New Zealand First. And what I've said before is they haven't come with National for 27 years, and we all remember 2007.